All right, my main man Chris Sims is here with me now to close the book on the 2023 NFL. Well, not really close it because it's really just they haven't even written their book yet. But
Yeah, that's right.
we gotta
It's just opening up.
Yeah, we're wrapping up the coverage. But one team that I think for sure is going to be, because I'm a sucker for alliteration, fascinating, fun to watch, and frustrating AF to defend is the Falcons. First team, I believe they're the first team in NFL history to go tight end, wide receiver, running back in the top 10 in back-to-back-to-back drafts. And so Arthur Smith's got a lot of toys to play with, Chris, but there's questions about the trigger man. There's questions about Desmond Ridder. So I'd love for you to take me back to your evaluations of him last year, coming out of Cincinnati, coming into the 2022 NFL draft, what you saw out of him in limited action as a rookie, and what you expect of him moving forward with this supporting cast. They not only took Bijan, they took Bergeron with their second pick at the top of the second round. So he's got a lot of help. Doesn't seem to have to do much. So what is your read on Ridder?
No, I think, you said a lot of right things. And first off, with Atlanta, let's hit on that. I mean, hey, what they did, I'm with you. They deserve, I think, a little more love in the draft. To me, their first two picks there, I don't know if two picks really change a team more than that. I know the Houston Texans quarterback and Willie Anderson Jr., but you're talking about results that are going to relate to the field right now. Man, I mean, that offensive line was already one of the best in football. You said it's Pitts and Drake London, and now you're going to have one of the guys that's one of the best running backs in football, and the O-line's going to get better. They kind of doubled down on one of the strengths of their team in the draft and just said, no, we're going to make it stronger, which I kind of like. I do think a little bit there's some value to that. Some teams, they try to spread the wealth everywhere, and I go, well, you don't have one unit on your team that's worth a damn now. So they have something tangible that's going to make you change the way you have to play them. Free agency kicked butt this year too, Michael, right? So they're one of the teams that's, in my opinion, kind of winning the offseason. Ridder, getting back to him, first off, that's why I love their draft. It takes pressure off of him. He doesn't have to come in and go 35 for 42 and 300 yards every game. He's going to be able to run the ball, right. RPOs, read options, some quarterback design runs here and there, bootleg play action to Pitts, Drake London. They're going to play what we saw, I think, from the Tennessee Titans like a few years ago when they went to the AFC Championship game. They're going to ride that run game and have an efficient quarterback behind that. Ridder coming out, Michael, liked him, right, but had some questions. First off, I'll say this. The man, probably my favorite guy I was around out of all those quarterbacks in that draft class. I could see why people latched on to the human being. Has a natural feel for the game, knows how to play the position, but there are some things with his throwing that has to continue to improve. It improved last year. He definitely had a little bit of a tighter motion. He was more consistent with accuracy. That was the big thing coming out of Cincinnati, where you'd go, you'd watch a game and you go, hey, there's some good plays and some good throws, but then you'd watch, 6, 7 throws, and you go, damn, you're too good to miss that or do that right there. So I did see a step in the right direction. We'll see if that continues here throughout the spring and into preseason.
Yeah, I initially, when the mock draft had Bijan Robinson going to the Falcons at 8, I was like, you already got a 1,000-yard rookie running back you hit on in the 5th round, and Algier, he's cheap. What's the point of waiting on running backs? See, I'm one of those wait on running backs kind of guy, but the more I think about it, the more I really love it. But I'll come back to that in a second. Speaking of love, so Jordan Love, instead of his 5th-year option, the Packers sweetened it and signed him to an extension. So a little bit more clarity, or a little more commitment, I should say, when it comes to the Packers and Jordan Love. And they were committed. Their love language, if you will, was receiving gifts for Jordan Love. And we've talked for a long time, it seems, years, about Aaron Rodgers and what he didn't get, even though he just didn't get in the first round, but he did get support. But in this draft, they were hell-bent. I think it was 5 pass catchers and a running back, but they gave him 2 tight ends and 3 wide receivers. What is your read? What's the book on Jordan Love? Because a lot of people are looking at it like, oh, the Packers is just going to be next in line. Favre, and they developed Rodgers behind Favre, and they developed Love after Rodgers, and he's just going to take the baton and keep this thing going. What's the book on Jordan Love?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm quite as confident of like the handoff here. And again, with Favre to Rodgers, we had our questions too. But there was things about Rodgers' game that I guess I had less questions about than compared to Jordan Love. But
and he also wasn't great at the beginning.
In the right direction with what we saw in Jordan Love last year. And I talked about it with Florio a little bit actually earlier today, and just the fact that that game, Sunday Night Football, best team in the game, in the Philadelphia Eagles, down in the second half in Philadelphia. He didn't blink. Right, tough situation. He didn't blink, so I love that. And he is a guy that has continued to grow in throwing as far as decision-making and kind of cleaning up the mechanics of his throwing motion to become more consistent too. And you saw that in the Philadelphia Sunday night game. I think that was a jump-off spot for the Green Bay organization to kind of go, hey, wait, this guy can do this, right? I mean, we don't expect him to be the MVP, but he can do this. So I love the draft. Right? I do. I mean, those two tight ends, they're freaky. Get a slot receiver to go with Dobbs and Christian Watson. So now you got guys that can work the middle of the field. You got two weapons on the outside. Exactly. And they can run it. Exactly. So to me, Green Bay is one of those teams that like I want to kind of like put an asterisk next to and say, watch out for them. Because they underperformed last year. They were better than what their record was. There's a bunch of reasons we can go into that. But I wouldn't be shocked to see them in the thick of things in the NFC. I'm not going to put them in the class of the Eagles and the 49ers, but, man, their roster, it's damn good throughout. There's not a lot of holes, and I do like what they did in the draft, and I like what they did with Jordan Love with this little sweetener too, Michael, right? It covers their ass in case, okay, wait, he does do well, and okay, we got him locked up for another year after that. It covers his ass, and wait, if I fall apart or the year doesn't go great, you still owe me some money the next year too. So it's a win-win for both. I think that's well done by the Packers organization.
Reportedly could be worth up to $22.5 million with $13.5 million guaranteed and replacing the fifth-year option. So the team that kept the Packers out of the playoffs last year, the Lions, I want to get into them because, and it kind of connects to the Falcons conversation we were just having. So I think you know this about me, Chris. My favorite sporting event of the year, my favorite sporting event, period, is the NFL draft. Always has been. Therefore, my favorite day is day 3. What is now day 3? Back in the day when you and I were kids, it was a day 2. It was day 1. It was 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Right. Day 2 was 4 through 7 once they went from 12 to 7. And then now it's day 3. So day 3 is my favorite day because to me, that's for the real ones. That's for the hardcore guys. That's where the teams really make their money, as you know. So another reason I love day 3 is it kind of shuts people up. Because a lot of people after Thursday night, after round 1, they're like, what the hell are they doing? These guys are, they have no clue. They start giving grades after one round as if the job is done. But I look at a team like Detroit. And I'll be honest with you, man. When Detroit made their first 2 picks, when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, another running back in the top dozen picks, and let's call him a running back. He's more of a weapon, but his designation is running back. And then they take an off-the-ball linebacker at 18 in the top 20. I'm like, damn, this is like a throwback draft. This doesn't feel like a very modern draft on the part of the Detroit Lions. But I love what they did in round 2, getting Laporta from Iowa at tight end, going back to Iowa, getting Branch at defensive back. Not even going to call him a safety, defensive back from Alabama. And then your main man, Hendon Hooker, in the 3rd round. They had Broderick Martin from Western Kentucky also in the 3rd round. But in the 2nd and 3rd round in particular is where Detroit, I thought, really did work. What'd you think? But I bring up Detroit in particular because there's a lot of people. This is the first time I've seen negative press about Detroit in a long time. I've seen F's given to Detroit's grade. I've seen people feel like they're one of the big losers in the draft. Where do you come down on Detroit's draft? Because a lot of people see them as that team ready to take the next step.
Yeah, I see them as that team, and I'm more like you. I thought it was a really good draft. I really did. Now, like, listen, I'm going to give the mantle and the trophy to the Philadelphia Eagles for what they did in the draft.
For
like,
sure.
They win.
It's them and everybody
right?
else. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you get into
the
the tier 2 of teams that I think did really good. We hit on Atlanta, right? We're going to hit on the Lions. I'm with you. One, okay, here's the big thing. Yeah, you're right. There was too much made about round 1. And I get that. First off, I'd like to say Jahmyr Gibbs, to me, I had him and Bijan Robinson as tier 1, the top 2 running backs in the draft. I don't think there's that big of a gap between Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Am I wrong that there were some teams that had Gibbs above Robinson?
I don't think you are, because, like, Gibbs has the ability to go 80 to the house. Bijan Robinson's not that. He'll have a lot of 15 and 20 and 25 and all that. But Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the few people in the draft where you went, hey, here's the ball. Oh, he can score anywhere. Those are limited in this draft, as you know. It was a lack of superstar draft. So there's great value in that. And I did not think the gap was that big. So one, I'm going to be one to sit here and tell you, like, yeah, okay, 12 is maybe a little high as far as the value of the draft, but it isn't really. Like, if we take in the context of this and go, wait, they're a running team, they got a great offensive line, they feel like they're missing that weapon/running back to take their team over the top. So we're going to downgrade them because they got the number 1 player at the position they felt they needed to address 10 spots too early. So we're mad at them. We're going to give them an F because of that. Because they got the player they wanted for the need they needed. And we're going to give them a back. That, to me, that's just draft pundit bullshit right there, Michael.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Real
what
talk.
that is, right?
Real
and then
talk.
Jack Campbell, I hear you there too, right? Yeah, it was too early for me. I had an early second-round grade somewhere in 35 to 40 range. But again, they got a desperate need for middle linebacker. I think they're a team that, when they looked at their positions, they went, wait, we like these 3 or 4 guys at running back. We like these 2 or 3 guys at linebacker. And Gibbs and Campbell were top of that list. And they went, wait, they're here right now. Why risk not having them and trading back and then missing the guy we absolutely wanted, that we felt fit the need, fit our locker room, fit our culture, and everything there. And then you're right. A lot of people judged off of round 1. And Sam Laporta, to me, was the second best tight end in the draft behind Dalton Kincaid. Brian Branch, like you said, DB, he could arguably, he could be one of the best nickels in football. That's what he's going to be. He's amazing at nickel, free safety, whatever you want there. And then to get the quarterback of the future, yes, I'm with you all the way, my main man, Michael Smith. I think Detroit did a great job, and I'm never going to fault a team for addressing an issue of their team. And, they got the play, wanted 10 or 15 spots too early. Like, come on. I don't see it that way.
Right. You get the guy you want, and he works out. And not to mention the guys that go ahead of him that people think are superstars that don't work out. So it's like, you never know.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all in fun.
Right.
But you're right. There is a whole lot of bullshit that flies around the NFL draft. And look, I've been a part of it for years, but it's the machine that we all love. So look, but I want to go deeper with you though, Chris. I want to go deeper. I want to go see, like, because we've given enough time to, like, the top 5 quarterbacks and the first round guys and this, that, and the other. Bro, I want to nerd out with you because, we know that there was a record number of quarterbacks taken, or at least a record tying number of quarterbacks taken this year. I believe the number's 14. Am I right? So 14 quarterbacks taken. And I would like to go beyond the Strouds, the Youngs, the Richardsons, the Levises, the Hookers. And I want to talk about Hainer in New Orleans and Bennett in Los Angeles. Not each of them, O'Connell in Vegas and Toon in Arizona and DTR in Cleveland, Clifford in Green Bay, Hall in Minnesota, Max Duggan in Los Angeles. It's like, there's a lot of guys that everybody's looking for that next Brock Purdy. Is there a quarterback who landed in a spot, and his circumstances may not scream, oh, he's next, but landed in a spot where he could either be developed by that coaching staff or be an heir apparent that somebody could end up finding a diamond in the rough, finding the next Brock Purdy, which is everybody's trying to replicate that blind luck by the 49ers last year? It wasn't, I don't want to take away from it. It wasn't blind. It wasn't blind luck, but it's like if they knew he was going to be that good, he wouldn't have been Mr. Irrelevant. They obviously liked him enough to draft him there, but who knew that he'd be that guy, you know?
No, exactly. I think, hey, context it matters in that conversation too. Everybody wants their Brock Purdy, but I want to go, okay, do you have the 49ers football team and Kyle Shanahan to make it all work too? Yeah. I mean, he's only the most creative play designer in football behind him, and it's only the second most talented roster in football, right? So it's not easy to replicate. Right. There's other things that went into that. So
that's right.
Is there guys that have that type of potential? Sure. And was Brock Purdy probably misdrafted or underdrafted to a degree? Sure. There's no doubt about that too. But you hit on a few of the ones that I like. If you want to get later down the list, one, I like Jake Haener. That New Orleans draft in the 4th round. I love him. Natural at the position. Actually really good at everything other than he's small and slow. But talking about playing the position, different arm, and he says tough as hell, you're right.
Yeah.
So I like that. And he's the kind of guy to where, as a rookie, he's gotten a lot of reps and played. And if he had to get thrown in there for a game because Derek Carr got hurt, he'd be okay. The other one I like, you brought his name up too, is Clayton Tune. Right? Clayton Tune, similar to what I just said about Haener, except I think there's more physical ability and top-end potential. He's 6'2", he's 220. He ran a 4.59. He played a ton in Houston. He threw the ball 45, 50 times a game. So he's had lots of reps, and he's got feel for the game. He's got a nice, consistent, accurate motion. In fact, I wish he would just let it go a little bit more. But, those are two that jump out to me. And I'm a big fan of DTR. I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I thought in my evaluation from what I saw in film was every bit as good or if not better than Will Levis. Maybe the potential wasn't the same. I get that. But where they are right now, if you needed a guy to go out and run an offense and do all that, I'd take DTR. And I think that's a great spot he landed in Cleveland. It's a perfect scheme fit. He'll get to learn from Deshaun Watson and Josh Dobbs. And so those are three that certainly jump out to me that are down the line a little bit.
And then you got Tanner McKee in Philadelphia. Like a lot of times, as you know, it's not when you were drafted, it's where you were drafted and into what were you drafted. See Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Who's going to be – so there was a couple of running backs that went late, man, that I love too. Chase Brown, the 5th round is not that late, but Chase Brown went to Cincinnati. And then you had, obviously, Kenny McIntosh went to Seattle, who loaded up on running backs, interestingly. Dwayne McBride. I get the fumbling issues. I get the lack of receiving work, but I love his running style out of UAB. Going to Minnesota, also a crowded running back room. So sticking with that theme of diamonds in the rough and gems and steals from day 3, it's like, I'll ask you about this year's Brock Purdy. Who's this year's Isaiah Pacheco?
Yeah, good one, right? And, I've heard, first off, let's hit on that Seattle thing, right? Seattle drafted 2 running backs, and everybody thinks it's like some threat to Kenneth Walker, and I want to be like, what? Kenneth Walker's like a freak show. There ain't nobody that's a threat to Kenneth Walker unless you're talking about like the best running backs in the game. He's already there. They drafted these guys because they're like, hey, we got a superstar. We'd like him to last a little while, so let's not kill him here in the first 3 years. I think that's more about what that's about than anything else.
So it's not a committee. It's not an indictment of something that Walker
I don't
can't
think
do
so
or
at
not
all.
a desire
No.
to spread it around. Gotcha.
I think it's trying to be smart and not kill a guy who, can run 80 yards up the sidelines, but like we saw, can run people over and plays a physical brand too. And let's try to make him last for 5 or 6.
But there's no such thing as a workhorse running back anymore either. They're few and far between. You know what I mean? It's like it's all committee now. Everybody, you need more than one. Bottom line, you need more than one.
Definitely
everybody
do.
uses
you
multiple
definitely
backs.
do.
Yeah.
And with as freaky as defenses are and everything now, to just go bell cow running back, that's too hard. They're one of the last teams that did it anyways with Marshawn Lynch, right? They were kind of going that route. I think they like the bell cow thing, but they're gonna be smart here with a special football player. I like what you said about Chase Brown. All right. Chase Brown was a top 5 running back in the draft for me. That was a great pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. Hey, Roschon Johnson. Okay, that in Chicago. I'm just going to say, watch out for that. I mean, again, after those top 2 in Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, I thought Roschon Johnson's skill set translated to the NFL maybe better than anybody else outside those 2 guys right there. 220, can run you over, got quick feet. So that's one certainly. I love Sean Tucker, undrafted free agent to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
How do you go undrafted? How do you go undrafted?
It's all medical, Michael. It's all medical. He's got a few nagging problems and been beat up there in Syracuse. So that led to him falling down the line a little bit. I'm missing a few other ones. Hey, I like the Tennessee Titans and Tyjae Spears. Eric Gray and the Giants in the 5th. Eric Gray's a player to me out of Oklahoma. So, like you're talking about, there's some value and some ballers to be had at that position as you get later on in the draft.
All right, last nerd out question before I let you go, man. Just overall, and maybe give some love to some defensive guys. Like, give me your favorite, late round, diamond in the rough, steal gem, or even undrafted free agent, to your point. I love the shout out to Sean Tucker. Maybe even an undrafted guy that caught your eye, but just a dude that's maybe slipped through the cracks that you're like, yo, this is a guy he's got a shot. It's a long shot, but he's got a shot.
Yeah, I think one, all right, I'm going to give love to the Bengals with DJ Turner in the 3rd round. All right, okay. DJ Turner, the corner out of Michigan who ran 4.29. I think man-to-man, he's as good as anybody there is in the draft as far as just lockdown island-type corner. I thought his cover skills were right up there with Devin Witherspoon, right? So that's just maybe a mid-round guy that I loved in a big-time way, right? There's a guy that Chicago, who I got a man crush on here, that they took later on in the draft. And let me just get to it here. Oh, I'm messing it up here. I think I messed up my guy's name. All right, good. Hold on a second here. It's my Bowling Green guy, and I'm blanking on his name because I got so many damn. I know what you're talking about. He's the 300-pound outside linebacker.
You talking about Carl Brooks?
Carl Brooks, yes. Where the hell did he end up? Where did he end up? Oh, Packers. That's it. I knew I was in the right division.
Yeah.
Right. Carl Brooks, if you want to talk about a late round guy that I go, maybe in a few years jumps on the scene. You go, where? Right. You go, where the guy come from? Right? First off, he's like one of those, Michael, I turned on the film and I was like, wait, am I reading this right? He's 300 pounds and he's playing outside linebacker? What? Right? So that was the first thing that you went, so they think he's athletic enough to play outside linebacker. That says something in itself. And then you watch and you go, whoa, this guy's ability to change direction and run sideline to sideline and rush the passer, it's all really, really damn good. Defensive tackle, he's going to be an issue in there in passing downs. Now, he's got to work on some anchor and run game, double team stuff, right? He's athletic. He's always trying to disrupt and do all that. But, man, that would be one guy towards the end of the rounds that I would look at to go, watch out for him. Another one I'll throw out there. If I could go, who's this year's mid-round receiver that I think can maybe blow up, and I talked about him a little on my podcast, Marvin Mims Jr., he could be this year's version of Terry McLaurin, right? Where we go, damn, how did he end up in the 3rd round, right? And he's got a rocket up his ass. Oh, we docked him because he was on a bad Oklahoma team this year. I don't know. If he had Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray thrown to him, he probably would have been a top 40 pick, but he got in a shit team, so we all dropped him down. That was another one I really liked for Sean Payton and the Broncos.
Okay, all right, I'm feeling that. Listen, dude, I could literally do this with you all day. I could nerd out with you all day, man, but I know you got to go. You got to go handle business with Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Y'all already subscribing. Y'all already rating it. Y'all already giving it 5 stars. I know y'all mofos are following my main man, Chris Sims. So appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for following through. Good to catch up with you. Get some well-deserved rest, okay?
I want some rest, that's for sure. My ass is tired, but thanks for having me on, man. You the man. I always enjoy it, Michael. You the man.
All right, bro. Be good. Thank you. Hey, thanks so much for kicking it with your main man, Michael Smith. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, but also subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Rate it, review it, tell your friends about it. Oh, and be sure to follow me on social media.